What's going on? Welcome to the Tour Junkies podcast for the 2021 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-AM. I'm David Barnett. I got my lovely host, Pat Perry. We're ready to break down all the action tonight. We're going to have a wonderful show. We're going to talk about Brooks Koepka. We had a major listener hit big this week. We're pretty pumped about that. We're going to give you the course breakdown, key stats, everything you need to know. Going to give you the DFS picks, our GPP plays, our fades. Going to talk about some strategy this week. Really crappy field, but a lot of money to be made out there. A lot of good contests going on. Got our outright picks, kind of first look for outrights, top 20 bets, those kind of things. We have a special guest joining us tonight, the host of Golf Subpar, Colt Knost, former PGA Tour player. He's going to be joining us a little bit later. He's on the ground at Pebble Beach. He's going to talk about the golf course. We're going to get his take on Jordan Spieth. Is he really back? We're going to have some fun with Colt Knost. It's going to be a good time. As always, the podcast presented by our friends at Fantasy National. We love Fantasy National. It's where we've gone for the last 4 years to get all of our stats, all of our data, all of our information about the PGA Tour. If you want course history, if you want stats, recent form, if you want to build a lineup optimizer, if you want to do some crazy stuff, and you want it to be all clean data from the PGA Tour, licensed from the PGA Tour, straight from the ShotLink website, Fantasy National has you covered. It's legit data, which is important when you're paying for services like this. You got to make sure the data is good. So go to fantasynational.com/TJ and then put in promo code Tour Junkies in terms of where you heard about it, and you get 20% off any membership level that you choose. They have weekly membership, monthly, annual. And whenever you sign up with the promo code for Tour Junkies, you keep the 20% off discount. So even if you start off weekly and you love it and you bump it up to the annual discount, you still get 20% off. We love Fantasy National, and all the stats you hear from us tonight are courtesy fantasynational.com/TJ. There we go. Pat, I am pumped about this evening. It's going to be glorious, my friend. It is the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-AM. They ain't no AMs, baby. It's all pros only. You know what I mean? It's like every year in Augusta for the Masters, so in Augusta, people don't know this, we have two really ratchet strip clubs. You know what I mean? Two just ratchet strip clubs downtown. And every year for the Masters, they ship in the high-level strippers from somewhere else, and it feels like all the amateur Augusta strippers, they just disappear. I think they may have them. I don't know. They may have them locked up somewhere. They may send them on a vacation. I don't know what they do, but there's no AMs. It's pros only. I don't know. I've never been. I'm not necessarily endorsing that. I'm just telling you what I know, what I hear, and what the buses that come flying through, I-20 look like.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know we were going to go that route early on here in the show, but you know what? I mean, you're right. I mean, that's what happens in Augusta that week. But you know what? I'm looking forward to Pebble Beach. We only get 2 courses, which is kind of nice. Don't have to talk about 3. And ready to go.
It's going to be a good show, man. I'm really looking forward to Colt Knost joining us. He knows a lot about golf, obviously, and he's on site at Pebble Beach. He's going to get his COVID test, and then he's going to come hop on with us. So whenever he's available, he'll hop on. It'll be a good time. Producer Sam will bring him in. Podcast juice tonight, my usual little wild leap and some mixer, very little mixer. I got after it last night for the Super Bowl, so I'm just going to kind of keep it going. What do you have tonight?
Same for me, but I'm going with the Wild Leap little IPA here. This is the Transcontinental IPA from Wild Leap. Good stuff. I like it. But, yeah, I'm going to kind of dial it back a little bit tonight. I like you, got after it, not just last night for the Super Bowl, but all day playing golf. So, yeah, we're going to kind of try to keep it chill tonight, this evening. We'll see what happens, though. You never know what can happen.
So love it. And for all of you watching live on YouTube, we appreciate you joining. Thanks for being part of the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button, throw up that thumbs up. You know what I mean? Leave us a comment. Here's what we've learned. Okay. We've learned that all of a sudden YouTube, there we go. All of a sudden YouTube really loves comments. So they don't care what you do. They just want you to comment. And we will unashamedly just ask you to comment. Now, you can comment whatever you want. Hopefully it's positive. But I would like to know, because Jordan Spieth is obviously a big name going around right now after his Saturday 61 at Waste Management. He's in the field this week at the Pebble Beach where he's won before. And we're going to talk in detail about him a little later. But with everybody just getting all in a tizzy about Jordan Spieth, and our own Ben Little, in our group text, we had some back and forths with Ben about Jordan Spieth. I want to know in the comments, do you cheer for Jordan Spieth? That seems to be a polarizing question. It's like, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Do you like, I don't know, do you like crunchy peanut butter? I don't know, whatever it is. But do you cheer for Jordan?
Nobody who likes crunchy peanut butter.
Bro,
Come on.
You're freaking kidding me. Extra crunchy for me.
No,
Right
you
now?
cannot put that in my mouth. I want some smooth, creamy peanut butter
in your mouth. I can tell you that right now. I'm not putting anything in your mouth. But I want to know if you cheer for Jordan and just one reason why or why not. That's it. If you don't cheer for him, why? If you do, why? So put that in the comments. That'll help us out. That's how you help out your boy DB and Pat. So if you like us, if you enjoy the show, which I would think you do if you're watching this, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Now, Jordan had a great Saturday, but Brooks Koepka and my man Pat Perry won. Well, you didn't win, but you hit Brooks Koepka at 50-1 on the not that anyone really cares betting card. Pat, how do you feel? That's our second outright winner just in 2021 alone at 50-1. I love it, man.
Well, feel pretty good about it. And this is what, the third or fourth time that the not that anyone cares card has hit the outright winner. I know we had Hovland last year. We had Swafford, maybe one or two others. So maybe you should care, but it's now it comes out a little late on Wednesday evening. So you got to be paying attention or in the Nut Hut. I'll put it in there. So, but yeah, I was excited to hit it. And look, here's the thing. You get a guy like Brooks Koepka at 50-1 odds, just hammer it. I don't care if he's missed some cuts and whatever else. Now, Jordan Spieth at 151 last week, maybe a little different because he just hadn't shown anything. But Koepka, you got to take that number at 50-1.
So I want to start doing this, maybe not weekly, but semi-regularly. I want to talk about lessons learned because I think something that, is easy to talk about as successes, is, the things you did well, whatever. But if you're betting on golf, if you're playing DFS, you got to look back and think about what did I do that I shouldn't have done or what could I have done differently? And one of the things I wrote down is you don't, and this is, you're going to hear this, you're going to go, duh. But we got to be reminded of this sometimes. You don't count out the world's best when you get them at big numbers. Win equity proven over time always plays, because Brooks is down there sandwiched, he's sandwiched in there around some guys that were playing good right now, but we hadn't seen the win, right? We hadn't seen him come out and get it done. And when you have a guy, even coming off of 3 missed cuts, as talented as Brooks is, who does have legitimate win equity, that if he gets in the mix on a Sunday, if it happens, he can close the door. And there are plenty of guys around him at 50-1 that maybe hadn't proven that yet. And so when you get a guy like that and you get him at that long number, which you pounced on Wednesday, and you were like, I don't understand how you leave him off the card. And it's because of that win equity. So when you have a big name like that and you have that win equity that's proven over time, I think it's a lesson not to sleep on it.
Let me add this too real quick and we can move on. But this is another reason too that I think you got to watch a lot of golf. And when you're thinking about your bets, when you're thinking about DFS, because he showed signs of that he wasn't that far off. And he talked about it too. That's another thing. You watch some of these interviews leading up to the tournaments. He was healthy. Everything really pointed to him having the potential for a big week. And so you got to pay attention to that stuff. I think, week in and week out, watch a lot of golf, watch these interviews, see how they feel. And it gives you a good indication of what you might see for the week.
Well, a couple other quick announcements. I mean, another guy who got on Brooks Koepka with you is our very own AC. Now, if you don't know AC, you're probably not a Nut Hut member. If you are a Nut Hut member, then you probably have dreams about AC, because he's literally in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's the first person to greet you when you join the Nut Hut for the first time. He's on the Nut Hut. He's in the Nut Hut chat for all hours of the day. Our very own AC won the Pat Mayo Listener League for $5,000 and hit the Brooks Koepka outright bet. I know you and him both were touting Brooks on Wednesday night. And I think this is a great example of people needing to understand that the Nut Hut is not about me or Pat or Ben. I mean, if you're wanting to only join the Nut Hut to hear from us, you're missing out. And let me just tell you, there are so many sharp people in the Nut Hut, including AC and others, that whether we're in there or not, there's action going on in the Nut Hut 24/7, and you need to get with the program. For $10 a month, give me a break. $90 a year, give me a break. Go to tourjunkies.com, check out Golby's Nut Hut, join us in the Discord chat. It's popping off all the time. It's hilarious. It's a lot of fun. People are making friendships up in there. We're connecting folks, it's COVID, man. You can't have a relationship with anybody these days. Now it's still virtual, but you're making new friends. Who can say you made a new friend in 2020 or 2021? Damn near nobody can say that. You didn't make a new friend. I know you didn't, because you aren't allowed out the house. But in Discord, we got friends now. One of these days when we all get together, it's going to be a good time. You need to check out the Nut Hut, and props to AC for not just winning the PME, but also winning the Nut Hut Listener League, which guarantees him a spot in the finals come summertime for a chance to, get flown down here to Augusta and play some golf with me and you for a weekend. That'd be a good time. One last thing, we're still doing the Win My Clubs contest. So we started that last week. I'm really pleased to see the response so far. We got about 120 new Apple Podcast reviews. Those have been fantastic. They've been very entertaining to read. It's going to be really tough to choose one. But you're getting my irons, my 2017 irons, tailor-made. Can't even think about what they are right now, but I'll just follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll put up a video. You're getting Pat's driver, which is a M3. It's an older one.
M3. Yeah, the M3.
And you're getting some swag too. So it's for free, and all you gotta do is go leave an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars. You gotta write a review, and in the next few weeks or so, we'll announce a winner. I want to get that number up there a little bit more. So go check out that. Contest is still running. Details on my clubs and all that kind of stuff I'll post on social media. So I think that's it, Pat. Are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's talk about the 2 golf courses that we have for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-AM.
Well, yes, 2 courses this week only. We are dropping Monterey Peninsula. Sorry, Monterey, but you're off the rotation this week. But we got 156 players in this field. They are going to make the cut after 36 holes. So typically it's 54 when it's an amateur event, but this year it's going to be 36 holes. Top 65 and ties will make the cut. We start with Pebble Beach, which is the star of the show, and that is the main course this week. They will play it on Thursday or Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday if they make the cut. It is a par 72 playing just over 6,800 yards, so not very long. But the teeth of this course is definitely these greens and around the greens. They are very small. They are very undulating. They don't get them too quick. Now, I wonder if they're going to be a little bit quicker this year because there's no amateurs. And so I think they might toughen it up a little bit more and not, typically they run about like 10 on the centimeter, 10 and a half. I think they might get them a little bit quicker, but you got tiny greens. They're very tough to hit. I think strokes gained approach is definitely key. Greens and regulation. This is definitely a second course or second shot golf course. You look at, the scoring, I do think it's going to be a little bit more difficult this year. And if you do miss the greens, I do think you're going to have to scramble well. We saw that many times in years past here. We saw that at the U.S. Open a few years ago when Gary Woodland won and Justin Rose just was scrambling his butt off all over the place. I think that's important as well.
All over the place. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, Spyglass Hill, 7,000 yards, another par 72, also Poana greens. And, it's definitely going to be the one that you want to score on. It is a little bit easier, but I wouldn't sell it short. It's still a tough course. And, you got one of the keys on both of these courses is scoring on the par 5s. You're going to get 4 par 5s on each one. So I think that's going to be important. So for me, stats are going to be par 5 scoring. I'm looking at course history and recent form, scrambling, strokes gained approach. I think is going to be important. And I will look at some POA stats as far as historically over a longer period of time. Looking at your past champions now, we've seen some long shots. We might be back to long shot season this week. We had Nick Taylor last year at 20 in 2020. We had Phil Mickelson in 2019, his 3rd win. Ted Potter in 2018. My goodness. Jordan Spieth in 2017, and then Vaughn Taylor in 2016. And we got DJ back this week, coming from all the way down there in Saudi Arabia. So he is back. He has won this tournament twice in 2009 and 2010. So there you go.
Fantastic course breakdown there, Patrick. That was splendid. Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. I do think it's going to play tougher. I think you're right with no amateurs playing. It's probably going to set up that way. I think Spyglass and Pebble play pretty equally, and depending on weather. I think Spyglass can play just as tough as Pebble, and obviously weather being a big factor. So we're going to want to keep an eye out on that. Right now, it does look like it could be soft, but it looks to be some windy conditions that are stirring up. So you're going to want to pay attention to that. Looking at at the scoring here, it looks like we're going to get a winner somewhere in that 17 to maybe 16 to 19 or 20 under even, with the weather looking like it is right now. But you had big bombs, man. You had Nick Taylor win at 160 to 1, Ted Potter at 500 to 1, Vaughn Taylor at 300 to 1. But then you got, like you mentioned, some of these other winners at pretty short numbers like Phil and Jordan, Snedeker and Walker when he won. So interesting. It is the pretty weak field. So I think we're more likely to see a long number win if it's not DJ. Which, by the way, DJ, like historically stupid low odds this week, coming in at like 3.5 or 4 to 1. That's
not surprising the way he's been playing. I mean, he's just
not.
And in a field like this, I mean,
yeah. It's a little jarring, though. We'll say that it's a little jarring.
Yeah, it is.
Pat, before we get into the picks, we talk about this all the time. We love our friends over at Wine Access. They are hooking folks up with a wine experience unlike any other. I actually had a new wine experience this week, Pat, but there's a big world of wine to discover. It can be tough to choose a bottle. Don't worry. Wine Access takes out all the guesswork. Here's what happened to me. I don't eat a lot of red meat anymore. I just don't. I mean, I'll eat a steak every now and then for sure, but I don't eat a lot of it. I don't eat a lot of hamburger meat anymore. I eat a lot of chicken. And I was like, you know what? I want some wine with some chicken, but I don't want white wine. I don't like white wine. I want red wine. Mm. So all I had to do, you go to Wine Access, and I literally could search by pairings. And so I put in, hey, give me that chicken bone, that chicken meat, and give me a wine for the chicken meat. And they give me one, and I found a red wine. It was the Caro Con Pinot Noir, and I paired it with the chicken. And I didn't even have to. You can actually enjoy it right away. It tells you don't have to let it breathe. You can just pop it open and get on to it. And guess how much that bottle of wine was, Pat?
I'm gonna say $20.
It was $20, man.
Mm-hmm.
$20 for the Caro Can Pinot Noir. Wine Access makes it easy whether you're a beginner or connoisseur. You learn about which wines. It's super easy. They have a massive decorated team of wine experts with over 20,000 wines a year. And only 1 out of 18 make the cut. They only select the finest wines. They've got all their master sommeliers and all that stuff over there. They're sharp folks. So whether you're looking to spend $15 or triple digits on a bottle of wine, they equip you with the knowledge and the stories behind each bottle, taking all the guesswork out. Okay. Plus, if they fail to impress, Wine Access will credit that bottle, no questions asked. So we want you to check out Wine Access and explore the world of wine as well. So we worked on this exclusive offer just for our listeners, 20% off your first order. That's 20% off your first order. That's a great deal for these bottles of wine. Just go to wineaccess.com/tour and your discount will be applied at checkout. That is 20% off at wineaccess.com/tour. And if you like chicken and red wine, get you that Caro Con Pinot Noir, baby. You know what I mean? That Pinot Noir. Noir. And you don't even have, you can just open it up. You don't have to let it breathe, which is, if you're in a jam and you need to hurry up and get a bottle
of wine, go. Yeah.
The last thing you want to know is like, dang, dude, I got to let this thing sit for 40 minutes. All right, let's get into this. We're going to talk DraftKings here. First off, we're going to give you 3 GPP plays in the 9K and above range, as well as a fade. Now, Pat, we talked about DJ, right? Big time favorite coming in here. Can't lay clearly the next man down. But you got to pay $12K for DJ, which we haven't seen a whole lot of $12K action on DraftKings lately. But it looks like DK pricing is going to go ahead and say, "Hey, you want DJ? You're gonna have to pay up." Now, the thing is, though, in his last 2 years at Pebble Beach, when he's gone to Saudi to play in the old money grab over there in Saudi Arabia, he has finished T45 and T32, making the trip over from Saudi to Pebble. A place where, yeah, he has tremendous history, but the last 2 years after playing Saudi, it's not good. And you got to figure, where's the motivation, right? Like, dude already got broke off just to go play, just to show up. And then he just went over there and pretty much dominated, hit the ball tremendously well, won, got the winning prize money, and now he's flying back to Pebble. He doesn't have to have all these, amateur obligation, sponsor obligation. He's not having to deal with his freaking father-in-law, Wayne Gretzky, holding him back for 6-hour rounds. I kind of feel like he's going to coast through this one. I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. I'm not playing DJ. He's my fade in this range. That's the first decision you got to make when you're playing this week is, am I going to play DJ? I'm not. He's the fade. Now, there's definitely it's a weak field. We've already talked about that. It's a really weak field. And I will say I hate the 6K range. I'm going to give you like a few names in the 6K that I would maybe sniff, but I'm not a fan of the 6K range whatsoever. And when I try to build a lineup with DJ in it, I don't like it. I don't want it. So for that reason, I'm out on DJ. What are you going to do with DJ?
I am out too. I do not,
Okay.
and I think the main reason is I try not to get too involved with some of the travel narratives and stuff like that. I get it though. I think it makes sense, but I'm like you as far as strategy this week. It is very hard for me to take DJ and then from where you got to start after that. And the 6K range does not. It does not interest me at all. I hate the 6K range, and usually there's several guys that I can find in there that I can pinpoint, but it was very tough. So I'm out on DJ, not going to play him, and I think it's a very good point what you talked about the last couple of years that he's played in Saudi and then come over here. He hasn't been as good here, so I think that to me, when you look at, when you're playing your lineups this week with this being a little bit weaker field, I think you can definitely play it a little bit more balanced. And so that's probably what I'm going to do as far as strategy is concerned. Because to tell you the truth, a lot of these guys over 9K don't interest me all that much. Actually, the whole damn field doesn't really interest me that much. But anyway, you got to take some guys. So we'll talk about them.
Well, okay. I'll go ahead and roll out some of my plays here. I am going to play a couple names over 10K. I'm going to play Paul Casey and I'm going to play Daniel Berger. I love Paul Casey's form here recently. Just won over on the European Tour. Casey's playing super, super well. I feel like his confidence is at a peak. So one of the things I did on Fantasy National is I narrowed it down. I looked in the last 4 years only on Pebble Beach and only on Spyglass. So I could eliminate Monterey Peninsula. I looked at strokes gained, ball striking, all the strokes gained categories, putting on those surfaces. And Paul Casey in the last 4 years on just those two golf courses has 9 rounds logged, and he's 5th in this field in strokes gained ball striking, 25th off the tee, 9th in approach. I really like Casey here at 10-4. It feels like a good spot for him to get another win here. I mean, I think he's going to keep riding the hot form. I'm going to go to Daniel Berger. He was average 22% owned last week. Okay. 22% owned. He trunk slammed and he screwed me up. He ticked me off. I think he missed the cut right on the number. It was close if it wasn't on the number.
It was.
The irons completely failed him. He lost 3 strokes with his irons. He hasn't lost 3 strokes with his irons since the 2019 Safeway in September. Okay. It was it was mucho not good. Okay. He putted fine. He hit the ball off the tee fine. The irons were awful. I don't see that trend continuing this week. He comes to a place that I think he's got. I mean, I'm looking here, 3 rounds logged, so not a big sample size between these two courses, but played him well when he did. Ball striking, he's 18th in this field, 12th in or 20th in approach. He's a good scrambler. He's actually not bad on POA either. If you look at his splits, he's not terrible on POA. So I'm going to go with Berger and hope that some people pivot off after the 22% average owned missed cut. And then I'm going to go to Jason Day at 9,500. And I'm probably just going to, you know what? Maybe I'll just have a free weekend is probably what I'm setting myself up for is Paul Casey at 10-3 and Jason Day. But I'm willing to risk. I'm a risky biscuit this week. I'm going to risk it. He's got a tremendous record at Pebble. He loves Pebble. And when you look at how he's played, yes, he's missed his first 2 cuts coming off the break, missed cut at the Farmer, missed cut at the Waste Management. But the Waste Management, he lost 5 strokes putting, which does not happen. That's also a massive anomaly, similar to the Daniel Berger iron play. He has not lost 5 strokes on putting in a given week since, yikes. I mean, he lost 4.9 in the 2013 Bridgestone. That's what I can find last. He does not do that. He putts great on POA. It's the best surface he has in his career is POA. At the Waste Management, gained 2.5 strokes with the irons, gained strokes around the green. Like, 3.7 strokes tee to green. Like, he was hitting it fine. The Farmers, he shook the rust off. I feel like this is an interesting spot for J Day. Maybe you get him a little less owned. Maybe people are still afraid to play him. So I'm out. That's it.
Well, okay. Well, my official fade, even though I did say I was going to fade DJ, was not DJ. It was Jason Day at 9,500. I don't like him this week. I know he's got incredible good history here, but look, the guy has just not been playing well at all lately. I mean, you look at his last few events, it's been pretty terrible. His irons have been terrible. He's 126 in the field in strokes gained approach, 94th in ball striking. Yes, he's a good scrambler, and I do think that's important here. He's 78th in par 5 scoring. He does putt well in POA. I'll give you that. But I'm just not a big fan of Day here at 9,500. I will say this. I think you might get a little bit lower ownership, but I don't care. I'm out on him.
According to some people in the chat, it says like G Renz says that everyone and their mother loves J Day. I don't know if he's if he's already listening to stuff, reading stuff, but maybe everyone and their mother does love. If people's moms also are loving J Day, that may mean ownership gets pushed up above that 18% number. We'll see. G Renz,
and I think it's obviously the history that's going to put you on him. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Top 5s in his last 4 starts here. So
also in the chat, Brian Halverson and Nut Hut member is dying for us to make a bet, Pat, because apparently he has tasted a matcha tea drink from Starbucks that he thinks is the grossest thing in the world. And since we have early disagreement on Jason Day, Brian Halverson is calling for a Jason Day matcha tea bet. So would you like to place a wager on that? And the loser has to consume whatever this matcha tea thing is and give it a review?
Sure, I'll do that.
What do you think? What do you think how bad do you think he's going to be? Like, what are you expecting here? I mean,
well, I think
it doesn't necessarily mean you think he's going to miss the cut.
No, I don't think he's going to miss the cut, but I would say he will not finish in the top 20.
Top 20. Will you give me a top 25? That's a good number. Top 25 is a good round number. People don't, people on the PGA Tour, they're like, oh, how many top 10s? How many top 25s? Nobody's saying top 20. He's coming off
I don't want to give you that, but since I will say the first thought that came to my mind was T25. So I'll give you a little leeway there, and we'll go T25. I think he finishes outside of the top 25.
Okay. All right. So top 25 or better. You're drinking the matcha tea drink that Halverson's telling us about, and if it's worse than top 25, then I'm drinking it.
I just don't. I just am not a believer in Jason Day, despite the history this week.
Listen, I'm not either. I'm not either. So, but I'm just. I think there's reason for optimism, and with the history, and maybe I'm seeing Brooks come off of 3 missed cuts and he puts it together, and you see Day come off of 2 missed cuts. He comes to a place where he's got a little history, a little romance. Maybe he puts it together. So that's all. So continue your.
Okay. Anyway, where were we here? All right. Starting at the top, though, I do like Patrick Cantlay at 11-3. You look at the stats here. He's, I mean, top 20 in ball striking. He's number 1 in the field in strokes gained around the green. Par 5 scoring, he's top 15. Checks the box in greens and regulation. You look at his last start here. He was T11. He's obviously in really good form, and I faded him a couple weeks ago at the Amex, which was terrible. And so I got to play some Cantlay. I have to. And I think he's going to have a good week. So I will play him. I also like Berger at his price at 10-1. I'm with you there. And then I like Francesco Molinari down there near the bottom at 9,300. He's a guy that we've seen some good recent form from, finally, kind of getting back in the swing of things after not having a great year at all in 2020. I think this is a perfect course for him, even though I don't think he has any history here, but I still think that this is a great course for Molinari. So I like him at 9,300. I will play him in GPPs. So there you go.
I like Molinari. I'm already seeing I saw a lot of talk about him on Twitter today. I feel like he is going to be uber chalk, but I do like him. We don't do the cash picks anymore, but if you were going to have a cash lineup, I don't mind starting one with Molinari. But I do think he's already getting a ton of chatter. He lives in LA now, so he's more acclimated to West Coast stuff. POA, obviously, he's been playing very well. Just from a profile and a course fit, he fits the what it takes to play well here at Pebble. So I like the call, but I do think Molinari comes in extremely chalky this week. Maybe he's a chalk bomb. Maybe Ben makes a case for him being a chalk bomb. I don't know.
I see that Ben is in the chat for once.
Yeah,
and he's commenting about Spieth because he just can't get over it. Here's the thing about Ben, guys. If you want to know about Ben and Spieth, he just wants to be right about Spieth because he's been talking about how bad Spieth has been for like 2 or 3 years. Ben, you've already been right. You've proven yourself right. You don't have to keep talking about it anymore. I'm tired of it. God, you're so Spieth. I mean,
we talked about Spieth. We're gonna have Colt Knost on here pretty short.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
We'll get Colt's opinion. But it was definitely interesting to see number 1 in the field in strokes gained approach at the Waste Management. Absolutely dog bad off the tee. And that was whether he had driver in hand or not. I saw some people talking on Twitter today like, oh, well, he doesn't have to hit driver at Pebble. Well, he may, number 1, because it's going to be cooler. The course is going to be softer with some rain expected. If they push some of these tees back because we don't have amateurs, it may play a little bit longer. And it doesn't matter. Like, he was spraying hybrids and fairway woods off the tee last week. So,
well, then he would still be in the crap and he'd hit it to like 5 feet. It's like an adventure watching him hit off the tee. It's kind of fun. You're like, well, okay, what's going to happen here?
It really is a lot. It is. I imagine it's what like a really, really good golfer sees when they're playing golf with me off the tee, because that is the worst part of my game, is like controlling the ball off the tee. So I feel like that's the same. That's a similar thing. I guess neither one of us are playing Jordan Spieth. I think we need to answer that question now. Currently, I am not. If Colt, and I know Colt's kind of a Jordan homer, so unless Colt delivers some, really compelling news, maybe it throws me on it. But I'm interested to see the ownership on him. I'm interested to see how the ownership moves on him throughout the week, because I do think it will move. But for now, I don't think I can. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, let's go on to the 8K range.
All right, 8K. I'm gonna make this snappy. I like the 8K range a good bit. By the way, are you proud of me that I didn't mention Cam Davis at 9,000?
I am. That took a lot of restraint. But you know what? I don't think he's a bad play. But anyway, go ahead.
You may or may not get a mention from me later in the show. In the 8K range, there's a lot of names in here I actually like. I do like a lot of names in here. It's tough to narrow them down, but I might go ahead and eat a little chalk here. I think with my Berger play, my Casey play, I'm going to get a little bit of leverage, and then in the 7K range, hope to do the same. So I'm going to chalk it up a little here. I'm going to pay for Kevin Streelman at 8,900. I've liked Kevin Streelman here lately. This place, he just completely owns this place. I mean, he owns it. He's coming.
Is he going to be any different though that he doesn't have Larry Fitzgerald? He doesn't have Fitzy playing with him. Maybe he could struggle.
I didn't think about that. I don't know. 22nd at the Waste Management, where he gained almost 5 strokes on approach with the irons. 37th at the Farmers. He's just got an amazing record here. Putts best on POA, plays well in windy conditions according to Fantasy National. And just tremendous record here in terms of the stats at Strictly Pebble and Spyglass. He's number 4 in this field putting on those 2 courses over the last 4 years in terms of strokes gained. So I'll eat the chalk with Streelman and pay up at 8,900. You got to get used to paying up some big numbers for guys that you're normally used to, playing in the 7s with such a weak field. And I'm going to hop on our boy, my fellow Champions Retreat member, Henrik Norlander. Call me a homer, but Henrik's hitting it great. He said on our show that come that 3rd, 4th, even 5th event in a row, which is what he has this week, he continues to play well. He likes playing a lot of events in a row. And he's just hitting the ball so well. And this is a place that actually I think fits him better than any course he's played thus far in 2021. We played with Henrik. Yes, he hits it a long way compared to us, but he's not super long, so he doesn't need a Torrey Pines. And even the Waste Management is really a bomber's track. So he comes to a place where length isn't as critical, but I like him on small greens because he's one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour. And you put him on small greens, he's going to hit a lot more greens and a lot more greens in regulation than a lot of other people. And I love that. 22nd place finish at the Waste Management, a 2nd at the Farmers before that, 12th at the Amex before that. I mean, Hendrick's on a roll right now, and I think you play him. So that's my guy. My fade is going to be James Hahn. I like James Hahn, but I'm going to fade him. Poor record here. He's only made 4 of 9 cuts. He sucks on POA. That's his worst putting surface, despite being kind of a West Coast guy. And also, according to Fantasy National, over his career, he sucks in the wind. So he got a lot of hype on Sunday late when he had a chance, and he dropped the ball. 8K, James Hahn. I think I'm out.
Okay, I don't like the Hahn fade. I'm actually kind of a Hahn fan, but I will start up there at the top, and I like some.
Wow.
I like old Max Homa at 8,800. He's a guy that has been playing really well, and he's just kind of closed bad in a few of his last couple tournaments where he was in contention. So like Max Homa, you look at the last 2 times he's played here, T10 back in 2019. He was T14 back in 2020. Is a guy that's just, he's a West Coast guy, Cali kid. So I think Max Homa could have a really good week. And again, like I said, he is just in great form at 8,800. I like him there. And then I'm going to go back to my boy Cameron Tringali. Now, he's another one. He's kind of like, you don't want to pay 8,500. That seems so expensive for him. But look, the guy has been in very good recent form. He's made the cut here the last few years here. You look at the stats. He's 22nd in the field in ball striking, top 30 in approach. He's top 10 in greens in regulation. He is 12th in the field in par 5 scoring. Putts pretty well on POA greens also. So I like my boy Cameron Tringali there at 8,500. And then my fade, again, a guy I was in love with last year at the beginning of the year, and he showed up pretty well for me, but that's Alex Noren at 8,300. I just don't like, you look at his ball striking, it's horrible. He's near the bottom of the field in ball striking and approach, also greens in regulation. He's 98th in the field and putting on POA. Just not a fan of old Alex Noren there at 8,300. I will fade him. Now,
Can't believe what I'm hearing there. Cannot believe it. I kind of like him.
Okay.
I can't believe you just faded Alex Noren. That's nuts.
I think I did it already once this year, but maybe not. I was all over him last year. He was like my favorite player at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, he was. You're all over him for sure. Okay. All right, let's get into the 7K range, Pat. 3 GPP plays and a fade. I'll let you start here.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with the Georgia boy, Chris Kirk. I like him this week at 7,900. I think this is another course that's perfect for his game. We've seen him play well recently. He is a great ball striker, great in strokes gained approach, a good scrambler. So I think Chris, this makes a lot of sense here at 7,900 for Chris Kirk. And then right beneath him, Peter Malnati at 7,800. I think it's another, he was top 15 here last year. He's got 2 top 15s in his last 3 starts. You look at the stats also, another great ball striker, 13th in the field in approach, good scrambler, 22nd in par 5 scoring. So I think Peter Malnati makes a ton of sense there at 7,800. And then I'm going to drop down to 7,300, and I'm going to go with Bo Hoag, 7,300. Yeah, I think, and he obviously showed out pretty well. As a matter of fact, our boy AC, who we were talking about in that took down the Mayo contest, I think he had him in his lineup. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did. But
yes.
Another guy's a great scrambler, top 15 in greens and regulation, 7th in par 5 scoring. I like Bo Hoag at 7,300. And then my fade is going to be Rory Sabatini at 7,600. Another guy we've seen playing fairly well recently, though, but missed the cut last week. This week I hate him, so I'm not taking him.
Okay, this week you hate him. All right, yeah. I'll try to make this quick. I do like the Malnati play. I was going to mention him. I think that's an interesting spot for him. He's just playing at a different level right now. I'm going to give you a little GPP play here that I don't think a lot of people are going to be on. At 7,700, I'm going to play Rafa Cabrera Bello. Not a lot of people maybe have been paying attention to what he's been doing on the European Tour, where he finished 4th at the Abu Dhabi, 35th at Dubai, 33rd.
The Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi.
Okay, I thought you said the Abu Dhabi. Okay.
33rd last week. Missed the cut here last year, but plays it almost every year, has for the last few years. Prior to last year, a 22nd and a 26th place finish, kind of his best spots at this golf course. But, if you look at just his performance at Pebble and Spyglass over the last 4 years, he's 18th in this field in strokes gained approach. It comes down to the putter for Rafa. So hopefully he can get some putts rolling. That'd be good to see. But I think he's going to be a low-owned guy in this upper 7K that a lot of people are going to not be interested in. because I think there's a bunch of names up here that people are going to want. So I think he's an interesting pivot play. Joel Damon. This is the week to play Joel. We had Gino on here a few weeks ago. I've already seen some folks in the chat asking if this is the week to play Joel. According to our sources currently, it is the week to play Joel. So this is a shorter course. Of course, he can use his wedges. His accuracy plays more to his advantage. He likes this golf course. So I think this is the week to release the Damon. However, if for whatever reason we believe that to not be the case, we will communicate that within the Nut Hut. So I do think Damon is a nice play here. And then I'm gonna go with old homeless Hubs, man. Our boy Mark Hubbard with our friend Kyle Peters on the bag as your looper. He loves this place. He got engaged on the grounds of Pebble Beach. He's talked about how he's played Spyglass Hill a ton. He's very familiar with this golf course. Very comfortable here, and he played well. I mean, first round leader. Wasn't he first round leader? He was tied for the first round lead at Waste Management after round 1. That would be first round leader. Ended up finishing 30th. Irons are hot right now. I think this is an interesting spot for homeless Hubs and a spot that he could actually come up and win. So I think he actually gives you a little bit of win equity down there at a really reasonable price at 7,200. Not sure where the ownership's going to fall on him, but I'm sure it's not going to be like anything over like 5 or 7 maybe percent. I'm going to fade Patton Kizzire. He's been playing good, okay? Despite making his last 9 cuts, I'm still going to fade him. He's never played here before. And I don't know why he's playing. I don't know why he's playing. Maybe he just wants to keep the heater going because he is playing okay. But this is not a spot where typical Southern boys who love Bermuda, do well, and that is Patton Kizzire. He does not putt well on POA historically. And even over his last 24 rounds, despite making his last 9 cuts, he's 93rd in the field in approach and 114th in the field in opportunities gained. That scoring stat from Fantasy National that we love to see. So I don't know about Kizzire this week. I'm not really feeling that one. He will be my fade in the 7K range. I'm excited now because we're wrapping the end of the 7K. We're going to get into the 6K range. But before we do that, we have our very special guest, the host of Golf Subpar, Mr. Colt Knost. Producer Sam, you can bring him up. There he is. You got us, Colt?
What's happening, guys? How you doing?
Good, man.
What's up, Colt?
Oh, everything's great. Just got to Pebble Beach and just settling in.
Did you get your COVID test?
I did.
Praise God.
The CBS things, they do it right. They come to the room, and I'll find out in the morning. But until then, I get to just hang out here and talk to you guys.
Dang, they knock on your door. They bring you some chocolates and a little cotton swab up your face.
Just the cotton swab. They left the chocolates at home.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, man, it's good to have you, Colt. Thanks for joining the Tour Junkies podcast. Colt, obviously, as we mentioned, the host of Golf Subpar, as well as, Gravy and the Sleeves on SiriusXM, and also doing a fantastic job on the golf course, reporting on these events, man. It's been really fun to listen to you on the course, coming at it from a former player's angle. A lot of these guys. You have a great rapport with these guys. We enjoy hearing you on the show, or on the broadcast. I know a lot of our listeners do too. You're doing a good job. Thank you so much. It was a blast at the Farmers a couple weeks ago. Looking forward to this week. Gonna be out there quite a bit, and it's fun. I try to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, you do a great job. We'll get to Pebble in a second. I think we got to ask you the first question. It's very hot right now on the Twitter streets, as I know you peruse from now and then. Your boys with Jordan Spieth. We all saw what he did. In Colt Knost, objective opinion, is Jordan Spieth back?
I don't think he's back. But I thought there was a lot of positives last week. The driver still concerns me with him. But the iron play was fantastic last week. I think he was first in strokes gained approach. He was 13th in putting, which the putter doesn't get talked about enough, I feel like, right now. It's just always the ball striking, but he has not been putting the way he normally does. And so that was a good sign to see him make a few. Sunday was a tough day, though. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on him. I mean, you could tell the crowd was behind him. And he never looked comfortable to me, in my opinion. I went out there and watched him. But it's getting better. As bad as he played starting out Sunday, he still had a chance with 4 holes to play.
Yeah, he did.
For sure. Colt, I appreciate you coming on. I got to first say that you have entered there's new lingo in my world, and that is get amongst it. Because I watch the show or listen to the show all the time. You always say we're going to get amongst it, so I'm happy to get amongst it with you this evening. But let's talk about Pebble Beach. I know you've got a lot of experience not only playing it, but more recently when you're commentating on it. So tell us about Pebble, like how you think it's going to play this week. I wonder if it's going to play a little bit harder because there are no amateurs, in the field. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I do agree with you. They can definitely use some different pins because of not having the amateurs in the field. The weather out here, the forecast changes every single day. So as of right now, I mean, my phone's telling me there's a good chance of rain on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday looks like the worst day, which is unfortunate. We're looking at like 15 to 25-mile-an-hour winds, but that's as of right now. But yeah, they never have the rough up too high out here. I mean, most of the people that play here are paying quite the fee to play Pebble Beach, so they don't want to beat them up too bad. But it's not going to be warm. I mean, the highs are in the 50s. It's going to play long. I mean, even though Pebble Beach is around 7,000 yards, it plays crazy long. I was just playing an event out here right before Thanksgiving, and it's just such a treat to be out here.
What do you think is sort of the perfect type player for Pebble Beach? Like, what do they have to do well the most? Like the most important thing this week?
I think the iron play, because I mean, if you look at the greens are as small as any place on the PGA Tour, other than probably Hilton Head. And I mean, it's just some guys are just never comfortable putting on Poana. But I mean, I don't want to just cop out and say, oh, it sets up well for Dustin Johnson, because every place on the planet sets up well for Dustin Johnson, especially the way he's playing. But if you look at, past history, a lot of the same guys play well here.
So, obviously we talk a lot of fantasy golf. We talk a lot of gambling on golf. And, but golf is literally the most variable game out there as far as how to predict it and who's going to win and things like that. What is something you think golf handicappers that you may listen to either overlook or overvalue when it comes to maybe predicting the outcome of a tournament?
Well, I think as we saw last week, I would say it's recent form. I mean, Brooks Koepka missed 3 straight cuts on the PGA Tour, and then he goes out and shoots 19 under and wins. I mean, that's just how good the guys on the PGA Tour are. They can find something on the range Tuesday, Wednesday, or even maybe Thursday morning, something that clicks, and they're off and running for a month or two. So I just think everybody's like, oh, so-and-so's playing bad. He hadn't played well in a while, which in some cases that is true. But, you come to a golf course you really like, or like I said, you find a little something in your golf swing throughout the week, and you're off and running.
Can you think of a time when you were playing that happened to you? Like something little that you just found?
Yeah, I mean, there's been several times throughout my career. I remember when I was coming back, I think it was in 2016. I played Charlotte the week before because I took a couple weeks off because my hand was bothering me. Came out in Charlotte and lit it up for me around Quail Hollow. Shooting 68 was a good round for me around that place because it's just such a monster. But that just I played pretty solid there, and that led in to the Players Championship where I finished third, and then I finished third the next week at Byron Nelson. And it's always something just little here and there where it's just a little feeling, maybe in at the top of your swing, maybe it's a little feeling off the takeaway. You just never know. But I mean, you can go on runs for weeks if you just find that feeling that you can kind of just get down and feel really comfortable with.
Yeah. So Pat, 6 years into this, man, we're still really stupid for trying to figure this out every week. That's basically what it's coming down to. Colt, we're gonna get a pick from you, man. You're gonna be a celebrity picker for tonight. If you don't hit it, we won't chirp at you, I promise. I don't know about our listeners. They may. If you do hit it, we'll tell tales of your wisdom all across the Twitter and Instagram and now TikTok streets because I'm TikTok famous.
Okay.
We'll put that in. If, give me like your favorite kind of outright on the card if you had to pick one. And then give me like a long shot. Give me a bomb that you look at. You had Ted Potter win here at like 500.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Taylor last year.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, as a favorite, I'm really, and this is kind of what I just said earlier, I'm not going back to recent form. You just look at the way he plays around Pebble Beach. I think I got someone at the door. Can we hold on 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe it's chocolate.
Yeah, 1 second.
Oh man, this is the stuff dreams are made of. You get a former PGA Tour player a commentator on the ground, ready to make some bets. It's building in anticipation.
Okay, I'm ready now. So,
All right.
It gives me a good chance to refill my beer here. So.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Well, I'm back, but I'm going on a guy. I think you can find him anywhere around 30-1, 33-1, somewhere around there. But he's never won at Pebble Beach, but he top tens, it seems like, every single week. And at some point, Jason Day is going to start playing golf like the Jason Day old. And I just love him this week.
Me and Pat just made a bet on Jason Day earlier in the show. I'm on him. Pat's not. We just made a bet about it.
Okay. Well, good.
Good for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as
good for you, maybe.
Yeah.
As far as a dark horse, this guy, I play a lot of golf with him. He went to school down the road and at Berkeley, and I'm such a big fan of this guy. I just think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to do big things whenever he actually realizes how good he is. And he's going off at 50-1. I saw, and that's Max Homa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Max. We both like Max. Who doesn't like Max? Everybody likes Max. Yeah. I think
I'm telling you, once he figures out that he's one of the best in the world, his career could really take off.
Something to that confidence, huh? And that just feeling like you belong, not just out there, but in the winner's circle, that I think, we've seen it turn on for some guys. That's awesome.
Totally.
Awesome, Colt. We appreciate your time. Before we get out of here, man, tell us what's going on with Golf Subpar. Tell us anything new coming on with you, what people need to look out for on Golf Subpar or Gravy in the Sleeves or whatever else you got cooking, because you're doing so much right now. I don't even know. Help people keep up with you.
We're on, Gravy in the Sleeves is on Sirius XM, XM92, Sirius 208 every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 12 to 2 Eastern. Having a blast with the sleazy man Drew Stoltz doing that, and then Subpar is just taking off. It's going better than I think we ever thought it would. We filmed 2 episodes last week. Our episode tomorrow comes out. It's Billy Horschel, which he is very, very entertaining and likes to talk as much as we do. And then we got a real treat the following Tuesday. We're Team USA all the way, but we got to sit down with European Ryder Cup captain Padraig Harrington for about an hour and a half, and he is just awesome and so much fun to talk to. He's got great stories and just goes. I mean, at the end we're just like, okay, it's been like an hour and a half. We probably got to stop. Yeah, man, I bet he's got some good stories. I actually looked at him a little bit this week. He's game's kind of coming around, and if this place gets difficult, windy, and nasty, I think Padraig can be an interesting maybe DFS pivot or just bomb at like 300-1. Steve Stricker played well last week. So what about Padraig? Played great. Yeah, Padraig Harrington. I mean, you just never know with Padraig. I mean,
yeah,
he. Like I said, sitting down and talking to him about his whole career and everything. I mean, he was one of those guys that played the best golf in the world for 18 months and just went on an absolute tear.
Yeah. Cole, we appreciate it, man. Tell Sleazy, Sleazy man, that we said thanks for letting us borrow you a little bit. You guys get a lot of time together. Y'all spend more time together than me and Pat. I don't know how that works.
It's nice for me to go on the road every once in a while and get away from the sleaze, but we can still talk over Zoom and all that. But it's a relationship, that's for sure.
You hung out with our boy Fleener last week too, didn't you? Did you hang out with Fleener last week a little bit?
He stayed at my house for a few days. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did. He's the best. It's hard to beat Fleener.
Yeah, he was on a couple weeks ago. Well, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, doing some great things with Golf Subpar, Gravy in the Sleeves, and the broadcast stuff is just taking off. You need to be out there every week. I don't care who has you under contract. You just need to be out there every week. Okay.
Well, there's going to be a lot of them. Just it'll pick up this spring quite a bit.
Yeah, you don't want to be in. You mean you don't want to be in like 48 golf events a year, like walking?
No, that's a little too many. But okay. I love being out here. It is a blast.
Colt Knost, we appreciate it. Everybody follow him at Colt Knost on Twitter, Instagram. Check out Golf Subpar. Colt, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on the Tour Junkies podcast. We'd love to have you on again.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
Thanks, Colt.
Colt Knost, everybody. That was a good time. We're going to try to bring some, some guest pickers, some celebrity pickers. They may be in the golf world. They may not be. Sometimes we might surprise you. We're going to bring on some listeners as well. So it's a good time. I appreciate Colt hopping on and doing his thing. He's a busy guy. Pat, let's get into 6K range. That's where we left off on DraftKings. There's not a lot for me to talk about here. I mentioned Harrington a little bit, which is, he kind of brought up. I do think there's something to that Padraig play. Other than that, man, I know I talked about him last week. I feel like I'm Pat 2017, where every week I talked about JB Holmes. But when you look when you look at guys in this range, you're hard pressed to find somebody that has played this golf course more and played it, better in the 6K range over his career than JB Holmes. He loves this place, loves POA. Cole talked about how long it's going to play. That's going to benefit JB. And you get him at such a cheap price. And he does have win equity if he has a good week. He just does. So if you're going to dip down in here, and I said at the top, I don't love this range. I don't see myself having a lot of lineups with anyone in here. But if I were going to go down there, JB, and then Davis Riley, because he's kind of the devil we don't know, right? Like a lot of these guys down here, we know who they are. And like Davis Riley's the shiny new collegiate Southern stud object that we all want to see pop off. And he's kind of lackluster so far, but he's getting his feet wet. He's got limited opportunities to come out here on the PGA Tour and play well. So, he takes every week extremely serious and ready to do something. And so just being the devil I don't know, but maybe has some upside, I think Davis Riley's the only other name in here I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah, I don't mind Riley. He kind of burned us a little bit because I had a bet on him to finish top 20, and that didn't pan out so well last week. But I don't mind him. A few guys that I'll talk about here. And look, this is one of those courses where you can just get the specialist, I would say, for your shorter courses, and that is going to be like a guy like Brian Gay, who's 6,600, or a guy like Jim Herman, who's also 6,600. I think those are two guys that this course fits well. It's just their games are perfect here for a shorter course. So I like those two. And then Roger Sloan at 6,800. He's a good ball striker. He's top 50 in the field in strokes gained approach and around the green. So I think Roger Sloan could be a good little flyer play there. He's made his last two cuts. But look, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this range. And maybe as we get closer to Wednesday and we get into the Nut Hut and we see some of these sharper guys that we got in the Nut Hut, maybe they'll find some better one plays in here in the 6K range. But those are just a few that kind of pop for me right off the bat. But it's slim pickings down there.
Yeah. I mean, on the Davis Riley thing, he finished like 40 something in the strongest field I think the Waste Management's seen in a while. I think, wasn't it? It was a pretty strong field last week. So
it's very strong field. I like Riley a lot.
There's a chance. A chance. Okay, let's get into talking a little bit about the sportsbook early look, outright top 20s, that kind of thing, for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-AM. Pat, ankle to the putter to the ankle, I guess is actually what it should be. If you get this wrong, you get hit in the ankle with a putter. Who's it going to be? For me, it's Francesco Molinari at 33-1. I don't know that value sticks around much longer. I think he's going to get bet down. I think he's going to get bet shorter than that. You talked about him in the DFS portion. I do like him at 33-1. I think that's an interesting number. Now Colt's got me all jazzed up about Jason Day as well. At first, I was just thinking Jason Day for DFS for like a, kind of a maybe low-owned GPP play, but maybe he's not going to be low-owned. Now I'm looking at him at 30-1 and thinking I may jump on him at 30-1.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. I was going to say Daniel Berger there at 18-1 on PointsBet. He's probably the shortest odds guy that I would go there with Berger. This deep into the show, you might need a snack. You might need to have a snack. You might be getting hungry. You might be getting hangry. And healthy snacks have a bad reputation. Let's just be honest. They don't taste very good. So this episode, sponsored by our friends at Monk Pack. They make snacks that taste like your favorite sugary treats, but only 1 gram of sugar or less. They have keto granola bars that contain just 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of net carbs, and only 140 calories. They're the perfect snack. Anyone trying to eat a little better, cut back on the sugar, the carbs without sacrificing the taste. I've been trying to keep the girlish figure down, get that 6-pack rolling, and the keto granola bars help with that. They got a soft and chewy texture, which we all love. Pat, you're kind of you like soft and chewy. They come in delicious flavors like coconut, cocoa chip. That's a bunch of cocos. They got honey nut, blueberry, almond, vanilla. Personally, I like honey nut. Just 2 flavors, nice and simple, honey and nut flavor. That's what I like. Don't make jokes about that in the chat. They're perfect for a quick breakfast, in between Zoom calls, late night treat, whatever. They're gluten-free, grain-free, plant-based, non-GMO. I'm not sure what that means. No soy, trans fat, no sugar, alcohols, or artificial colors. They taste great. They beat the low sugar nutrition, and they taste awesome. So get Monk Pack delivered right to your door.
Try it for yourself and you'll see. And we have a special deal for our listeners. You get 20% off your first purchase of any Monk Pack product by visiting monkpack.com and entering our code Tour Junkies at checkout. And Monk Pack is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll exchange the product or refund your money, whichever you prefer. To get started, just go to monkpack.com. That's MUNKPACK.com and select any product. Then enter the code Tour Junkies at checkout to save 20% off your purchase. Monk Pack, delicious, nutritious food you can count on. And we thank Monk Pack for sponsoring this amazing podcast. And it is amazing.
And the chat's amazing again, because I now know that GMO means genetically modified organisms, DB.
That's fantastic, man. I'm really excited about that.
Blah, blah, blah.
Anyway, I got to say real quick while we're up here in the shorter numbers, I think Will Zalatoris is your like Beats by Dre outright pick of the week. Overpriced AF. Listen, I love Will Zalatoris. We've talked him up in the last couple of shows. We talked about how a certain caddy texted us about how amazing he's going to be. He's going to be I get all that. At 25-1, and I know it's a weak field, I at least want to see Will in a final group, maybe the second to last group on a Sunday, getting close, right? And when you look at, the names behind him, and we know that Pebble is a place where course history seems to matter more than a lot of other places. Even Colt referenced it. He has none, right? Now, he's a West Coast guy. I'm sure he's played, but he has no tournament history here at Pebble Beach. He doesn't have that. But to see him priced shorter than guys like Jason Day, Francesco Molinari, it's a little short for me. I think he's a little overpriced. Do you have anybody that you think is overpriced here?
Well, I was going to say, I think Zalatoris is, and you're right. I mean, it's a very good point there, because yes, we have seen him play well in a lot of tour events, or at least the ones that he's gotten starts in, but he still isn't, he hasn't really been in contention, at the very end. And so I'm not a fan of paying, 25-1 for him. Outside of that, I don't know if there's anybody else that's necessarily that overpriced up here in this field. I mean, it's just so weak, but.
I didn't mention Cam Davis in the DFS side, but I think that is because he will be a little high owned for me. I don't love him as much as I normally would, because he can't really maximize the driver here. Now, he may be able to a little more so than at other times with the conditions that we're looking at maybe seeing here at Pebble. But 50-1, I'm not fear of missing out. Like, I'm going to put something on Cam Davis because I've bet him so much that I need to be on him when he wins. So
you need to be on him.
Yes, okay. I do. I need to be on him, and I will have a portion of my unit on him at 50-1.
Okay.
That's betting lingo. That's just betting talk. But I do like one. And then I like Norlander at 55-1. I think Norlander actually has more win equity. He's been close. We just saw the runner up a few weeks ago. I think that's even better at 55-1.
Okay. All right. Well, right there in the middle, I like Molinari, just like you said. I'm big on him at 33-1. I like Max Homa. Colt kind of backed me up a little bit, not just on the DFS pick, but as a bet. He's there at 55-1 on DraftKings. I think Homa makes a lot of sense. A guy I did not mention as far as the DFS plays, but I think this is another perfect fit for him, and that's Brian Harman. He is 70-1 on DraftKings, and actually he is a lot shorter on PointsBet. He's like 50-1 on PointsBet, so you're getting a little bit better odds there. But so I like Brian Harman. You were fading James Hahn.
Yeah,
I like him as a bet. I think it's 70-1. I think that's a really good number. We've seen him in good recent form. This is another good course fit for him. So I like James Hahn there at 70-1, and that's sort of the mid-range area for me.
Okay, I'll go. I like Brendan Steele a little bit at 70-1. I didn't talk about him in the DFS side, but a California guy. Yeah, I like Steele. I think this place is interesting. I like the win equity at 70. I think that's a good number. We talked about Joel. This is a week to get on Joel and play Joel Damon at 100-1, maybe to get that first PGA Tour victory. We know that he's feeling good about this week and ready to roll, so I think that's an interesting one. As we get into that 100-plus number, I'm not. Just like I don't love the 6K range in terms of DFS. I don't love a lot of like really long bombs here. Thank God Luke List withdrew and saved me, half a unit there, quarter unit. But I like, I like Hubbard. I talked about him in the DFS portion. I like Hubbard at 125 to 1. He's also 3.5 to 1 for a top 20. Saw him as the first round leader last week at Waste Management and finishing 30th. Loves this place. Like I said, got engaged here. Played Spyglass a ton, played Pebble a ton. So I like Mark Hubbard. I think there's some win equity there. I kind of like Rafa Cabrera Bello at 125 to 1 as well. Playing good over on the European Tour, just doing under the radar a little bit, but playing okay on the European Tour. Comes here to a place at Pebble where he's got a few top 25s, maybe a couple top 30s in the last couple of years, and can also play well in windy conditions according to Fantasy National. So I like Rafa at 125 to 1. He's also 3.5 to 1 as a top 20. And then I don't know. I haven't heard from our source on Ryan Moore at 200 to 1. But again, if I'm looking at a guy that's a proven PGA Tour winner, that if you just look at his total body of work over his PGA Tour career and what he does well, Pebble seems to fit him. Okay. Now he's not playing great right now, but Colt just talked about a guy being able to turn it around like that at 200 to 1. That feels like a very long number for Ryan Moore. So maybe he could turn around. And then JB Holmes is 400 to 1. My God. I mean, 400 to 1, JB Holmes, he's 8 to 1 to top 20. I definitely like that number a lot better. Your boy Brian Gay, who you just talked about, is also 400 to 1 and 8 to 1 as a top 20. So those are some interesting numbers, mainly for the top 20s, but a little, 20, 0.2 units on JB Holmes at 400 to 1.
Okay. All right. Well, a couple here that I'll give you. I mentioned Chris Kirk as far as the DFS play. I like him at 100 to 1. Also, I like some Scott Stallings. He's coming off of a decent week last week, and he is also at 100 to 1 on PointsBet and had some good success here. I mean, he did miss the cut last year, but before that, he had a third in 2019. He was 7th in 2018. So I think Stallings is this is a good course for him. You're getting him at 100 to 1. So I like him there. I'm surprised you didn't mention Stewart Cink. 125 to 1, Stewart Cink.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I mean, he's won recently. I think he makes a lot of sense there at that number. And then I'll go long shot Nate Lashley at 250 to 1.
Named Nate Lashley. I knew it was coming.
I like him there. And you know what? He's on some of the other books I've looked at, he is a lot shorter than that. So I think it's just I like the the value you're getting there at 250 to 1. So there you go.
Oh man. All right. Pat, that's a wrap on the AT&T Pebble Beach 2021. Don't forget, leave a comment. Jordan Spieth, do you cheer for him? Do you not? Give me one reason why you do, one reason why you don't in the comments. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. Listen, that's an easy way to help us out. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time. That's what apparently YouTube says people should do to help a show get some traction. And that's what we're trying to do. Help us. Okay. Thanks for listening. Be sure and check out the Nut Hut all week, and especially on Wednesday night. All the free written content up on tourjunkies.com. Nothing behind the paywall that is written. It's all good. It's all gravy. And follow on Twitter, follow on Instagram. Be on the lookout for Pat's betting card that hits Twitter exclusively on Wednesday evenings. And don't forget the Win Our Clubs contest as well. Leave an Apple Podcast review to enroll in that. And thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. May your screens be green for the 2021 AT&T Pebble Beach No-Am. See ya!